Hey there friends, it's Steph from Squishy & Co. And today I'm going to teach you two invisible joining methods, one for joining your rounds and one for fastening off. And what this is going to do is allow you to eliminate these obvious seams when you're working projects in the round. It's going to get rid of this as well as the weird little bump that you have when you fasten off. So grab your yarn and let's get started. Today I'm working with worsted weight yarn and an H-hook, but feel free to use whatever you have on hand. So since we're working in the round, I do like to start with a magic loop. And if you need a tutorial on this, I have one available for you. So I began with a chain 2. No matter what method you're using, you're going to start with chain 2 and it will count as your first double crochet. Now I want my first round to have 12 stitches. So we're going to work 11 additional double crochets into this loop. Okay, so I have my 12 total stitches and I'm just going to tighten this up. Okay, we have it nice and snug. You want to pull out just a little bit of a loop and remove your hook. Now we need to locate our first official double crochet. So you're going to ignore that beginning chain 2 and find the top of your first double crochet. Insert your hook into that stitch from the back to the front. Turn your piece. Ensure that your working yarn is now facing you. Insert your hook into that loop that we left open and pull it through the top of your first double crochet. Turn your piece back, snug up your stitch. So we have one loop on our hook and we're going to work into that very first double crochet. So just with the one loop on your hook, go straight into the top of the double crochet and create a single crochet, chain 1. So this is going to count as your first double crochet in all of your rounds. And you can see that this already looks a lot more like a double crochet than just a chain 2. So that's part of what helps this look so invisible. So we need 24 double crochets now since we're increasing. You're going to go directly in with that first double crochet. We have 2, and then you'll work 2 into each stitch around. I will meet you at the end to show you exactly where to place your last 2 stitches. Okay, I've worked 22 stitches. Now we're going to snug our last 2 right in the top of this stitch. We worked into this one, and now here is our beginning single crochet chain 1. We're going to go right here into the top of that stitch. It is a little bit snug, but that is okay. You shouldn't have too much of a problem getting your stitches in there. All right, so again, we're going to pull out a little loop, ignore our single crochet chain 1, find the top of our first official double crochet, insert hook from back to front, turn your piece, ensuring that working yarn is facing you. Insert your hook into that little loop that you left open. Pull it through the top of your first double crochet. Turn your piece back and snug up your working yarn. Again, one loop on the hook and go directly into that very first double crochet. Single crochet, chain 1. Counts as your first double crochet. Again, we're going to continue increasing as you normally would. So here's your first double crochet. Now we need 2 in the next stitch, 1 double crochet, and then 2, and so on around. And I'll show you again where to place those last stitches. Okay, I've worked my 34th stitch, and now we need 2 more. And again, they're going to go into the top of this stitch from below. So here's where we just worked into. We want to go into the top of this next one. And that's how you do it. We have come to the end of our piece, and now we want to fasten off, keeping that nice invisible look. So you're going to cut your yarn like you usually would. You may want to leave just a little extra space because we're going to create basically an extra V. So you want to make sure you have enough to create that as well as weave in your ends. Thread your needle. And again, we're going to locate that first official double crochet and just insert your yarn needle underneath those top loops and pull to the back. Now you don't want to pull too tight here. If you completely close it, you're going to have that weird little bump that we're trying to avoid. So just leave it a little bit slack. You'll be able to adjust it later. We're going to find our last official double crochet of the round. That's where your working yarn is coming out of. So we're going to go back down into the top of this stitch and out the back. So to show you kind of a different angle, you're going to find your last stitch where your working yarn is coming out of. Go down into the top and out the back. I like to make sure that this at least goes under these two loops, and usually I will kind of work it into some additional threads as well, just to make sure that we get this nice and secure even before we're going to weave in our ends. Play with this until you get your V's to look like the others. So if you pull too tight, you'll see you're going to get that bump, and this one is a lot smaller than the others. And you can just kind of wiggle it around, loosen it up until you are happy with the way it looks and it blends in with all the others. And then you can go ahead and fasten off in whatever manner you prefer. So here we have our finished piece, and with the exception of me getting a little overly zealous when I was weaving in my ends, you really can't tell that that is where I fastened off. So if you're a little more careful and with some practice too, you will be able to make this look completely invisible. No one will ever be able to tell where your rounds start and end. I hope you found this tutorial helpful. If you would like to see additional pictures, you can visit my blog at squishyandco.com, and I'll have that linked below for you. And please be sure to leave me a comment. Let me know what you're going to make. If you have any additional questions, I'm more than happy to answer those. And as always, be sure to like and subscribe. I release new videos every Friday. See you next week.